Good morning, everyone. I am Jenny McCullum, the Director of Procurement Services and Inventory Planning, also the Chief Procurement Officer for JEA and the Chair of the Awards Committee. I'd like to call the May 6, 2021 Awards meeting to order. We do have a quorum with Stephen Datz, Ricky Erickson, and Haivu in person, and Joe Arfano and Laura Dutton remotely. OGC is represented by Julie Davis, and Budget is represented by Stephanie Neely. Before we get started, is there any public comment that have shown up in the bid office that would like to comment on the agenda for today?
No public comments at this time.
Thank you. Were there any emails that were submitted prior to the meeting?
No emails.
Okay, great. Thank you. Do we have anyone on the call that would like to make a public comment on today's agenda? All right. Seeing none, we will move to our agenda items, which are items 1 through 8. They have been reviewed by Procurement and by Budget and are ready for the Awards Committee review. We will review as usual. We'll go through each of the award items individually. I'll ask for comments and questions, and then a motion and a second to approve the award item, and then roll through the committee asking for each individual approval. We will start with the meeting minutes from April 29th, 2021. Are there any questions or comments? All right, can we get a motion to approve the meeting minutes from April 29th?
Joe Arfano, so moved.
Thanks, Joe. Can we get a second?
Laura Dutton, second.
Thanks, Laura. We'll roll call through the committee to approve the meeting minutes from April 29th, 2021, starting with Joe Arfano.
Approved.
Laura Dutton.
Sorry, took a minute for the extra mute. Approved.
That's okay. Stephen Datz.
Approved.
Ricky Erickson.
Approved.
And Haivu.
Approved.
Thank you. Award number 2 is a contract amendment. This is for the Microsoft agreement, enterprise agreement for annual maintenance. Software House International, Inc. is our recommended awardee, and the contract increases in the amount of $21,786.40. This is a 3-year contract ending in February of 2022. And it was originally approved by the Awards Committee through a piggyback off the state contract in February of 2019. We've had 2 contract amendments since the original award, one being for O&M extended AMAG and EMS support, and the other for additional SQL server licensing support. This additional $21,000 is for the service help desk support. So still using the rates based off of the state of Florida contracts that were established back in 2019. Do we have any questions or comments on award number 2?
Jenny, this is Stephen. The original award was February 21st of 19 on page 11.
Okay.
And then
Got it.
Just for clarification, this is a one-time O&M extension for AMAG and EMS. It's the operating system, the security patches for the operating system. And I'll send you a comment on it, but
okay.
That's just to clarify.
So is that part of the service desk support? You just want us to
Yes.
add some language to that? Okay.
Yeah, and I'll provide it to you, but it's the security patches, the updates for the operating system.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Jenny, this is Hyde. I do have a question. The dollar amount seems small. We do not have a means to administratively change order this contract.
Correct. So we had done that 2 times before, and so this puts us over the threshold to bring it back.
You can only increase it by
I asked-
10%.
Yeah,
So
I asked the same
that's-
question.
Right, so I guess my other question, I thought that may have been the case, but if the original award was 2.5 million, the other 2 change orders combined would have been above the 10%. So why didn't it go to awards this September, the 143? Because that would have been over the 10% threshold at that point.
Yeah. I asked the same question. Nathan, do you want to chime in? And actually, if we need to update that to show a partial ratification, Nathan, we could certainly do that on this award.
Morning, this is Nathan. Yeah, we the second change there for the 143 actually did take us over the threshold. We made an exception at the time. It was slightly over the 10% that we didn't take it back to awards committee. So yeah, that's the case. We should have, I guess, at that time, but we didn't. So if it change to partial ratification on that, Jenny, let me know. But that's the history on it.
And was it just did we do that? Was it an exception, Nathan, or was that just a mathematical error and we found that when we were doing this one?
I believe it was 2019, but I think we made an exception on it because it was so close to the 10%. Is why.
Okay. So Julie, if you have any direction on how we should, if we need to state something as a ratification, the amount that was over the 10%, we can do that, or does it bringing it back now cover us from a P-code perspective? You might be on mute, Julie. I can't hear you.
I'm sorry. Yes, I was on mute. So I think, yes, it would be good to specifically state that the committee is ratifying the prior award as well as this new increase, or the prior increase as well as this new increase.
Okay.
So this award does 2 things: ratify the prior award and approve the new increase. The prior.
Okay, we'll add some language to that paragraph that Stephen's already going to send us some language, and we'll make sure that they note that it's for this increase and a partial ratification of the last amendment, contract amendment. Are there any other questions or comments? Okay, great. I'll ask for a motion to approve award number 2 with the administrative changes to the background to make sure that it's clear that the committee is awarding a contract amendment for these additional hours, and then also a ratification of the last amendment that was made in September of 2019. Can I get a motion to approve?
I move, so moved.
Thanks, Hy. Can I get a second?
Laura Dutton, second.
Thanks, Laura. I will roll call through the committee to approve award number 2 with the changes as mentioned, starting with Hy Vu.
Approved.
Laura Dutton.
Approved.
Joe Arfano.
Approved.
Stephen Datz.
Approved.
And Ricky Erickson.
Approved.
Thank you. Award number 3 is a proposal. This is an RFP for engineering services for the design of the Martin Luther King Fairfax to Brentwood water main replacement. The scope of work consists of the final detailed design, permitting, bid phase assistance, and engineering support during construction. For Waters Engineering is our recommended awardee in the amount of $532,026. This is a project completion and it is expected to be done in June of 2024. As a note, For Waters Engineering is a JSEB company. We had quite a bit of competition here. We had 7 proposals that were received, and the proposed fees are approximately 36% lower than what we had estimated due to the negotiations with the engineer for the design rates. I'll just make a note too, this JSEB was up against quite a bit of competition here with some bigger companies, so that is a big win for them. Any questions or comments on award number 3?
Yes, this is Hadi. If I may ask of Beth, the project manager, a couple of questions. First, what is the construction estimate for this project?
Is the project manager on?
Yeah, hi, this is, David McDermott here. The construction, I'm sorry, the estimate, I did not pull it in front of me, but I believe, let me pull it up so I don't give you incorrect information. If you just bear with me for a few seconds here.
Sure. Hey, Julie, do you think, will you mute your line for us, please?
I'm sorry, I apologize.
Hi, this is Jenny. This is Dan Crook, the buyer. I have the estimate up in front of me. At least the estimate that I have, it's a little over 7.7 million.
Okay.
Yeah, that is correct. And one thing to point out, the engineer's estimate was around $900,000 when the project was in the planning phase. Out of that $900,000, we spent about $100,000 for Jacobs to do a route study. So that $100,000 was used for that, and there's $532,000 for the final detailed design by Four Waters. I went back and forth with them a couple of times to make sure that they had adequately covered everything that was required in the scope of work. And with a couple of exchanges, they actually were a little bit lower than the 532, so they revisited it and so came up with the final 532. I discussed it with my manager, Beth. We felt that they adequately covered everything that was required to do this project. So I don't have any concerns about it. And again, they're a JSEB firm, so you know, there was definitely competition with more national type of firms out there. So again, as Dan shared, about 7.7 million is the estimated construction cost.
Thanks, David.
Thanks,
Hi,
David.
do you have any other questions?
No, I'm good. David anticipated my question. So in essence, the cost for engineering is lower, number one, because we've done a route study already. It's about $100,000. And JEA is comfortable with the level of effort that Four Waters Engineering is proposing. I don't, you know, and I'm okay with it. It seems light as far as the level of effort is concerned, but if the team is comfortable, then I'm comfortable. Thank you.
Okay, great. And I think just to confirm, and this might also make you feel a little bit more comfortable, are we going to be coming back for the services during construction once we award it to the contractor, because I would assume that's not included here, but I'll just get a confirmation from the business.
It's included.
So that's included in this amount?
Yeah, I saw that in the spreadsheet that's following this. And that seems like it is included.
Typically we bring it back after. So, Dan, do you have any comments on that?
This is Dan Crook. Typically, if we're not sure of the amount of time of construction or that's in flux, we'll try to defer that and add back to the committee. In this case, the business was comfortable with the estimate that was provided, so we included it in the award, so we didn't have to come back.
Okay.
Hi, this is David. Just to clarify, the services during, yes, Four Waters did include a task basically to review the services during construction as defined is to provide responses to RFIs, maybe make occasional site visits, which would be very, very minimal to attend, for example, the substantial completion. But the services during construction amount in the overall cost for the project, we're going to have a full-time inspector out there, and that's how I define the services during construction. So again, there'll be a full-time inspector out there. That'll be a separate contract negotiated once the design is complete and we near the construction phase. So I just wanted to clarify that. They're not providing full-time inspection services, just responding to questions and things of that nature throughout the duration of the project.
Okay, thank you, David. That helps. Any other questions or comments? All right, I appreciate both Dan and David providing some additional information, and I'll ask for approval for award number 3. Can I get a motion to approve?
Stephen Datz, motion to approve.
Thanks, Stephen. Can I get a second? Thank you, Joe. We'll roll call through the committee to approve award number 3, starting with Stephen Datz.
Approved.
Joe Arfano.
Approved.
Laura Dutton.
Approved.
Ricky Erickson.
Approved.
And Hai Vu.
Approved.
Thank you. Award number 4 is an invitation for bid. This is for the furnishing of all materials, equipment, and labor to construct a new booster pump station and associated pipes, pumps, tanks, storm retention pond, and site work on Rabina Road. Petticoat Schmidt Civil Contractors, Inc. is our recommended awardee in the amount of $3,539,100. We're expected this project to be completed in 2022 of September. And I'll note we have a 6% JSUB goal. We've received quite a bit of competition. We had 5 bids, all very, very close together. At least the top 4 are. And I'll note also that it did come in approximately 20% higher than what we had budgeted. And the specific items that came in higher were associated with the diesel generator, fuel tank, and the site work. So I'll ask the committee if you guys have any questions regarding award number 4.
This is Hiram. I wanted to ask of Bill or Brad, what was it about the generator and the fuel tank that was off? Do you know the reason why? Just market prices or?
This is Bill Clendenning. Hi. Basically, we went back and we looked at it, and a lot of this has to do with the whole COVID, everything going up, you know, the shipping, the everything involved with it, it actually almost doubled that generator in price now from when we priced it. But now keep in mind, this is one of those projects that got caught up in the, we have wetlands in here, and we've been trying to get a wetlands permit for almost a year. We went 8 months through the process, and they handed it back to us and told us to start all over again because they were changing who does the application process, and they still don't really have that down pat. And I'm talking about state and federal. And so we had to start all over again, re-advertise and do everything. So the estimate was actually completed back in late July, early August. So it's been sitting there since July, August, and now here we are in May of the following year. So naturally, escalation caught up with us. We had nowhere near the idea we were going to be this far along, and we just didn't have enough escalation in the original estimate. So that's some of the part. And the other part, the only thing I can determine is it is wetlands, and there is a lot of mitigation that you got to do. You got to control the trees you take down and a lot of stuff like that. I guess maybe these contractors are just leery about it. I mean, if you get in there we're going to go through 2 hurricane seasons while this thing's being done. So I guess maybe they were trying to protect themselves from getting in a situation where they couldn't work on the property to improve it while there was a wet cycle going on.
Thanks, Bill. I understand about the site work and the consistency, at least amongst the top, the lowest bidders, at least to show they're pretty consistent. Just a concern about specific items for this project, like the generator and the fuel tank. If we're seeing impact from COVID or the markets related to COVID going forward, we need to adjust our estimates on other projects accordingly, or is it a temporary? That's for the team too.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're trying to make build more escalation in now that we have all this, the lumber situation, the electrical, everything's going up. We've got contractors sending us emails or letters all the time saying that they're having to lay crews off because they don't have materials.
Thanks, Bill.
I will, we are also seeing quite a bit of an increase you'll see in some of the awards coming up. Definitely hearing from the vendors on multiple levels. PVC is a big one right now. The resin, we're seeing it from the top down. So the distributors are coming to us, but the manufacturers are having issues getting materials timely, and they're backed up, so it's pushing our lead times out too. Any other questions or comments on award number 4? Okay, I'll ask for a motion to approve award number 4.
Hi, so moved.
Laura Dutton, second.
Thanks, Laura. Thank you, Hi. We'll roll call through the committee to approve award number 4, starting with Hai Vu.
Approved.
Laura Dutton.
Approved.
Joe Arfano.
Approved.
Stephen Datz.
Approved.
And Ricky Erickson.
Approved.
You're being real quiet this time, Ricky. I need you to speak up a little bit more.
We still got a few to go. It's gonna finish strong.
Good. Okay, good. So we have some coming up for you. All right, award number 5. This was an invitation for bid. These are for our residential water meters that we keep in JEA's inventory stock. There are 6 different unique line items, and their primary application is to measure water consumption for residential customers. The group uses the water department and water meter department uses these on a regular basis. Our current inventory balance is about $366,000, and our annual usage average is about $3.2 million. We have 2 approved manufacturers for this material, and we are awarding in a 70-30 split to both of the manufacturers. The first one being Badger Meter, Inc., in the amount of $4,078,679.48, and Census America, Inc., in the amount of $2,611,672.98. This is a 2-year contract with a 1-year optional renewal. And just as a note in here about the standards piece, the manufacturers and the vendors of the items found in this solicitation have been approved over time, and each item is currently approved by the JEA Water Standards Department. Each item has been tested in a lab environment. In addition to, each item has been deployed to the field for prolonged testing to verify the capabilities of the suppliers to meet our needs. So we've explored numerous possible products and their capabilities and reviewed our water meter specifications to ensure the meters selected are the best possible option for JEA's future and our customers. When we look at the pricing, so Census used to be Census and Master Meter. I believe Master Meter was bought out, and someone can correct me if I'm wrong. I think that might have been by Landis and Gear, but if I'm wrong, let me know. And then Badger has been a newly approved water meter for the standards. We are looking at a decrease in the spend and the rates associated, or the unit prices associated with these water meters of about 6%, or a little over $400,000 over the 2-year term. So, you know, I applaud the water meter group for continuing to look for new sources. If they had not been able to approve Badger, we would have been down to a single source, which is with Census, and you can see by doing that, we have gotten better pricing. So the 70% of the contract will go to Badger, and the rest will go to Census. Does anybody have comments, questions?
Jenny, this is Stephen. On page 32, I noticed the master material catalog for the second meter doesn't include the 1/2 inch, so it's a 5/8. And I don't know if that's important to go back and update the catalog just for clarity. I couldn't find the actual manufacturer part number to show that was a 1/2 inch. So I think that would be helpful going forward. And then in regard to the lead time for the Census meters, it's showing $60. I presume that's 60 days.
Kenny, are you able to comment?
It is 60 days. They clarified after the bid. It was a clarification there. We just didn't update this spreadsheet here. But yes, they have clarified that. They're actually less than that now, but
so
did you say it's less than that?
Yeah, currently they are shipping in around 40 days, but you know they have bid out 60 days, and we just sort of whenever we release out the orders, they sort of give us what the estimate is going to be at that current time. But they felt that based upon where the market's at right now, that 60 was going to be a more accurate estimate for a longer term 2-year contract.
Okay. So where I was going with it, Kenny, is just an explanation. So let's presume it's 60 days. So for the extra 20-day lead time, if you were just, did you look at also just awarding based on the lowest cost per item versus the 70-30 split?
So we have in the past, we have in the past gotten into situations where a particular meter was, had some sort of issue from a quality standpoint, or whether it be delivery issues. So what we do is we have actually split apart each unique item into a 70-30 split. So you'll see on the first three items, Badger is the 70% and Master Meter or Census is the 30%, and then on the bottom three it flips around the opposite way, in which Census is the 70% and Badger is the 30%. And what we are able to gain there, some supply chain risk. And if we would have awarded just a single supplier, our cost would actually be more than what we are here. But if we did cherry pick every single unique item to only the lowest bidder, our total cost would be a little bit less than that, but we would not be able to utilize that risk mitigation and also just testing out, meters, in real life and seeing how they perform over a long period of time. And we have, evolved our meter strategy long term and really improved a lot of our performance long term by being able to test multiple meters.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll just jump in real quick. I think what you're asking though is that we do this based off of an evaluated bid or just low bid, and we base it just off price. So these lead times are just suggested. They are at the time of the bid what they can offer. We do keep up with the vendors, so we ask them if the lead time shift in any way, that they let us know that ahead of time from a planning perspective. But it's not something that that we are evaluating on here. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it was, the way I was looking at it, it looked to me like there would be another $35,000 savings. But I understand based on Daniel's response that this is mitigating some additional risk. So that's coming into play. So I appreciate the response. And then lastly, the Badger meter total is actually 49 cents at the end, not 48. So you just need to go back in and update the award amount.
Okay, we will. We will do
If you
that.
don't mind, just for clarity, is there going to be a change in the master material catalog to include that half-inch designation with the 5/8?
I believe Brandon Cottrell is on the phone. He'd be the point of contact for those types of things. Casey Nettles, but I don't believe Casey's on the phone, but maybe.
Yes, this is Brandon Cottrell. We can definitely update the catalog to include that half-inch designation. That predominantly falls across two separate meters, which they're both 5/8 meters.
That's right.
And we to my knowledge, I thought we had the census one that did have the designation of a half-inch threaded coupling or threaded fitting. But I will be sure to update that. I've taken notes on that.
Okay, thank you. That's all
Yes,
I
sir.
have.
Hey, this is, hi, Mabu. We're talking about a 70-30 split. I mean, I'm missing something, but how come the awards is a 60-40 split?
That's the money.
That's
just the money part. And then
Some
the individual items is a 70-30 split.
Okay, so just the math didn't work out.
That's right. 100% correct.
Yeah, we split each line's volume. So if you're going to buy 10,000 of one item, you award 7,000 to one vendor and 30,000 to the, or 3,000 to the second place vendor. But given that each item has different prices and each item has different estimated quantities we're going to buy, it's just sort of how the math works out. And that awarding out 70% doesn't really equal out to this. And we also awarded based upon individual items as opposed to the whole statement of work 70-30.
Hi, that was my fault. I misspoke when I said it was a 70-30 on the total amount. That
No,
I probably confused you.
No, I may have misheard, but Kenny explained it and so did Stephen, so.
Yeah,
I appreciate it.
it's specifically mentioned in the wording too, because that caught my attention. And it says based on each item opposed to award, right?
Yes, right there in that middle paragraph. Yeah, and
All right, any other questions?
now just to go back to that risk mitigation, if you look at our last over the last 3 years on those, Brandon could probably speak to it a little bit better than I could, but we have shifted to only a single supplier due to some dilemma in supply chain, probably about 3 or 4 different times over a 3-year time span. So there is some benefit by splitting it up, that we can easily ebb and flow between the suppliers. And we also address that in the language as to if there were to be us to switch over, how we would work to correct out the balance of 70-30, to work to move back to the intent of the award.
Thanks, Kenny. Any other questions or comments?
Jenny, it's Joe. If I heard you correctly on the first page, I believe you may have transposed the annual usage figure. Can I just get a confirmation that the correct figure is 2.325? I think you may have said 3.2.
Oh, yes, it is 2.3.
And that represents just under 3 years of supply. So if it's the higher number, obviously it would lessen the award, the duration of the award. So just getting a confirmation that figure is correct.
So our annual usage, so it's a little bit of I'll make a long story short. For our annual usage as it relates to what is in that summary, the 2.3 is our annual usage if you look at the previous 12 months. However, we have had some credits that we were utilizing during that point in time, which reduced our overall value that we've been outputting. We have been consuming more meters than what is in that annual usage, but we haven't been paying for them because of those credits that we've occurred over the past year or two.
All great questions. Thank you, Joe. Does that answer yours?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. All right, can I get a motion to approve award number 5?
Joe Arfano, so moved.
Stephen Datt, second.
Thank you. We'll roll call through the committee to approve award number 5, and we will make the updates as suggested to the catalog, and then also the penny that was missing on the Badger meter before we send those up to the CEO for approval. I will roll call through the committee to approve award number 5 as suggested, starting with Joe Arfano.
Approved.
Stephen Datt.
Approved.
Hai Vu.
Approved.
Ricky Erickson.
Approved.
And Laura Dutton.
Approved.
Thank you. Award number 6 is an invitation to negotiate. This was for our 3-phase, single-phase, pad-mounted, pole-mounted, and miscellaneous transformers for JEA inventory stock. Collectively, this consists of 96 specific transformers. And the primary use of these items is to enable voltage changes from one to another within our network system, with the items being utilized by the electric department. At the time of bid release, our current inventory balance was about $4.7 million. And as it relates to item spend, the last 12 months totaled about 7.3. We have 3 recommended awardees, with Stuart Irby with the amount of $17,248,000 $1,758.46. We have Wesco Distribution, Inc. in the amount of $13,135,389.29. And WEG Transformers USA in the amount of $430,856. This is a 3-year contract with 2 optional renewals. And we received 6 responses. And this bid was evaluated on not just price, majority of it was price, but also 20% qualitative. I'll just note also that the manufacturer and the catalog numbers of the items found in this solicitation have been approved by the JEA Electric Standards Department. And each item has a unique list of approved manufacturers based on the capabilities of the suppliers to meet JEA's electric system needs. Before I ask Kenny to talk a little bit about the evaluated bid, I will just note that JEA did realize about an 8.4% increase, and we believe this is due to market conditions and of JEA pricing. So we have elected to reduce the award to a 3-year with 2 optional renewals versus the 5-year term that we had originally bid out. This is one that I'll also note. We're seeing extreme increases in our lead times, and I know we've been working with Ricky's group to keep them updated on that. I'm working with the suppliers to, as these contracts were ending, the lead times with this new bid were going out, and so working with them on slotting opportunities and doing some spot bids along the way between bringing this to awards and seeing the longer lead times to make sure that we've got what we need for storm and then for the needs of the business units. But from a planning perspective, it's really important with these extended lead times for us to get as much advance notice as possible right now so that we can put the orders in and plan accordingly. If it's not on the books or not being communicated, it's going to be really hard for us to fulfill those needs without knowing in advance. So I know we're doing a lot of work to make sure that that communication is being delivered to the planning department to make sure that we meet everybody's needs. But this is is definitely a unique time for us right now for these contracts. So Kenny, do you want to just touch on the evaluated part? And this is a little something different that we've done this time and what that included.
Yeah, sure, Jenny. The areas of focus on this particular solicitation that we looked at speaking with the groups, based on what we had seen over the past few years of issues and opportunities, we evaluated engineering offerings and quality programs, inventory reduction opportunities, storm response, JEA's risk reduction opportunities, and the ease of doing business. Each one of those areas, the suppliers, would put in their proposal, and during the ITN sessions, we would ask for any clarifications or anything along those lines with those suppliers. And I think the incumbent won on a couple of those, but there are some new suppliers here in this district. I think it was a successful station, but like as you said, that we're seeing a lot of pressure on the supply chain from a cost standpoint, even with us adjusting on a quarterly basis for all the metals that are included in these.
Thanks, Kenny. Do you guys have any questions or comments?
Hey, Jenny.
Yes, sir.
It talked about the evaluated bidder on one being recommended for award versus the low bidder. Could you elaborate a little more on that?
Sure. I'll let Kenny keep going if that's all right.
Yeah, so that was going to be on the pole mounted section. On the pole mountain, Wesco was the lowest cost supplier. However, Stewart Irby, as an aggregate, had a higher qualitative score, which then brought their total score above Wesco. I think based upon the total score, I believe they were around 1 point higher overall. The cost difference was not substantial. I want to say it was around $200,000 on an $11 million tab. So they're pretty close overall, with their qualitative score being a little bit higher. I scored by 5 different evaluators. They were able to win that tab out, and the evaluators were found within the electrical standards group, within the inventory planning group, and the warehouse group, based upon their subject matter expertise.
Thanks, Kenny. Ricky, do you have any other questions?
Just so I'm clear, is basically Stewart Irby could provide a either better product or could store stock longer or something along those lines is why they kind of were evaluated higher. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, those qualitative scores, whether it be, each score has their own, methodology of what in particular related to their field, that they may feel that the logic behind why they would score them a little bit higher than the other. If you look at storm responsiveness, it may be how much material they're willing to, store on stock. Do they have their own dedicated trucking that they would use? Ease of doing business. Do they have dedicated account managers? Inventory reduction opportunities. Do they do slotting programs with the manufacturers that have material or slots within their manufacturing cycle that are dedicated to JEA. So when we release an order, it immediately gets in the queue based upon that slot that was already in there. When we place an order, it doesn't go automatically to the back of the line. Some suppliers do that. Some suppliers were willing to offer those types of opportunities. Some weren't. It's not something that we require out there. For storm response, we require them to hold some materials, and we require them to have a person available for storms to help us move through there. That's the minimum requirements. A lot of suppliers would go above and beyond, those types of capabilities. Some suppliers may use multiple manufacturers. Some suppliers may use manufacturers with multiple different factories that they could mitigate risk in the instance that there was some supply disruption at a factory. Those types of things are what the commodity team is looking for in the evaluation of the proposal.
Okay, so I'm assuming that Stewart Irby, whoever the name are, has done a pretty good job during COVID of doing just what you just said.
Yeah, they have. Stewart Irby is for a long period of time. They've been the distributor in which has had the most amount of work. They're a part of a Sonepar family, which is an extremely large global company. But Stewart Irby focuses on utilities. They have done a very good job in the past. They have been our primary supplier on pole line hardware, on transformers in the past. They've done a great job, and they also partner on the pole mounts with GE Prolec for their transformers. There have not been any supply disruptions that I'm aware of related to that, and they also partnered up with the second manufacturer, Central Maloney, on their single-phase pad mounts to diversify their supply chain and diversify their awards to be more competitive. They're a good supplier. of ours. They have a lot of strong partnerships with a lot of key manufacturers out there. So I would say that they would probably be the #1 distributor in the utility space, definitely in Florida by a considerable amount, but nationwide.
Okay.
Ricky, I think too, part of the conversations and things that we've been talking about with Alan over the last couple of months while we bid this out, the contracts are coming to an end, and some of the discussions we were having with IRB were surrounding the storm stock that they keep on site for us. And with them not knowing what the outcome of this was going to be, we started to figure out ways to mitigate the risk if they didn't win some of the, line items that they already have for us. And part of that was figuring out how to bring that storm stock on site at JEA instead of the vendor keeping it at their warehouse. So we were working through some things, from that perspective. I don't know, Kenny, I don't know if you know off the top of your head how many of the items that they carry for storm stock for us are ones that they're going to be awarded again, and how that's going to affect what we need to bring on site. But we do have a backup plan, a mitigation plan for that we've been working through in case we need to make adjustments to our FRPs.
I don't know off the top of my head. I'd have to look it up a minute. I've already started, as part of the intent of the award, Irby's already reached out to me and has already fast-tracked engineering approval of drawings with the standards team. And in addition to that, they've already talked about putting meetings on the schedule for setting up the slots that we would like with other manufacturer, and we'll also start queuing up product in the supply chain for JEA to mitigate any sort of issue with storm response. And they're not a perfect supplier. I'm not going to say that they are a perfect supplier. They have their own issues, but they are one of our best suppliers.
Thanks, Kenny. Any other thoughts, Ricky?
No, good, thank you.
Joe, if in fact we believe the 8% or whatever that amount is, price increases, supply chain related due to the pandemic, the total award looks to be a little over 4 years of product. Was there a thought about whether this increase is permanent, or I'm just curious as to why you would extend out a contract if in fact the price pressure is due to a pandemic that hopefully is easing?
That's a good question. We're not seeing that ease. We've been monitoring it over the last year. We've been working with these suppliers, and the thought back in December was that by now they would see things easing up, and they are not. And Kenny can attest, some of these manufacturers are only holding pricing for 1 day. So if you have an order 1 day and the next day you go, they're having to give you a new price and a new lead time and all of that. So we did reduce it from 5 years to 3 to try to mitigate some of that risk. But we, with storm being part of this contract and then holding storm stock and being on site with us during storms, it's important to have a little bit of a longer term contract to mitigate some of that risk and have those relationships based off of bringing in storm and keeping it. If it was only a year, you basically would miss out on that whole part because they would bring it in and then they'd want you to take it right back. So, it's a balance of that relationship with them.
Yeah, I'm specifically questioning the 4 year versus say 3 year, not 2 or 1, because obviously that's pretty short. So
Well, these are based off of estimates, so I think this is a 3-year term. We are estimating the spend. So we do have 2 1-year optional renewals that we can
So we
utilize.
have the option of going out at the 3-year period and rebidding this.
Correct. It would be likely a little after 2 and a quarter when we would start the process, but yes.
Okay.
Yeah, Joe, these are non-committal contracts. All of the inventory contracts are the previous water meter one as well. You no longer have a new customer and nothing breaks, then we have $0 spent, I guess would be the concept. But these are just estimates that we based upon estimated growth in the network plus estimated maintenance and repair from previous years is how we came up with these estimates.
Thanks. That's very helpful, Kenny.
Any other questions or comments? These are all great questions. These are really important awards for us. You know, especially during storm season, they are what keeps the lights on. So, all right, can I get a motion to approve award number 6?
This is Ricky, so moved.
Thanks, Ricky. Can I get a second?
Laura Dutton, second.
Thanks, Laura. We'll roll call through the committee to approve award number 6, starting with Ricky Erickson.
Approved.
Laura Dutton.
Approved.
Joe Arfano.
Approved.
Stephen Datz.
Approved.
And Haivu.
Approved.
Thank you. We are on award number 7. This is a contract amendment, and it's part of the SJRPP decommissioning BSA closure. The recommended awardee is JB Coxwell in the amount of $290,533.05. We are expected for this project to be completed in July of this year. And just as a note, this was originally bid and approved by the awards committee in October in the amount of a little over $5.9 million to JB Coxwell. This specific request, and then I'll ask if there's questions, Rodney can jump in and answer, but this specific increase is for additional overcut and backfill. It's about a little over 7,000 cubic yards, and then a Pond A redesign fill shortage, and that is about almost 10,000 cubic yards. So we have unit prices that we can use to calculate these rates or these increases. So I'll pass it over to Rodney if there's anything you want to chime in on or clarify.
Oh, this is Rodney. That was perfect.
Thanks. You guys have taught me well. Any questions or comments from the committee? All right, I'll ask for a motion to approve award number 7.
Stephen Datz, motion to approve.
Haivu.
Stephen. Thanks, Hi. We'll roll call through the committee to approve award number 7, starting with Stephen Datz.
Approved.
Haivu.
Approved.
Ricky Erickson.
Approved.
Laura Dutton.
Approved.
And Joe Arfano.
Approved.
Thank you. Our last award is award number 8, and this was an RFP for facilities janitorial services. This is our open market for downtown, our service centers, including our wellness centers and other sites within our area. Trusted Hand Service, Inc. is our recommended awardee in the amount of $1,173,613.40. This is a 1-year contract with 2 1-year optional renewals. We received 10 different proposals. So great competition here. And I will just note that you'll see the increase in the amount from last year because our last year's contracts, and you'll probably remember we had to bring those back for increases due to COVID and some other, and bringing on the wellness centers, et cetera, throughout the year to meet those needs. But all of those COVID cleaning, storm support, and increased hours that we're requesting were included in this award. So we went from including 325 hours to now almost 20,000 hours. We also, and I'll let the business chime in here, increased the minimum hourly wage that they have to pay their staff, and that there's benefit in that to make sure that we're getting a consistent staff that they can keep staff on with, and making sure that they're paying them, you know, equivalent to what market is. But overall, we're looking at an increase of about 22%, or about 117,000 over the 1 year. When we compare apples to apples, the costs outside of the hourly rate, you'll see, or the hours that we're asking, you'll see the total contract amount go up. But from a apples to apples comparison, we're looking at 22% increase. You know, we did have quite a bit of competition in the market. So, you know, we deem that this increase is reasonable. Likely they're having to staff up to meet our increased needs. But I'll let the business chime in if I've misstated anything or there's anything else you guys want to add. I don't know if Melanie's on.
I think you covered it, Jenny. Thank you.
Okay,
Yes,
thanks,
I'm
Christy.
on. If anyone has any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
All right, do we have any questions or comments on award number 7?
Is this the current service provider, the recommended award? Okay.
Yes,
it is.
The only other
yes.
question is, given the timing, we'll sort of start butting up against when we are moving into a new facility next year. I assume it's okay for us to just, when we get to the place of revisiting, we can then determine what potential additions or modifications need to be considered as we make that move.
Yes.
They might do one like big final clean. Okay.
Yeah, we only made this award 1 year for that purpose, because there's still a little bit of question of when we'll actually be there. So when we go to renew, we can make that modification at that time.
Thank you.
Hey,
Any other questions?
This is Hi. I have a question for Melanie. It's more for my curiosity than anything else. Looking at the cost and the scoring, I was curious to see what happened with Jenny King's proposal that they received 0 points in quality metrics. Otherwise.
To be honest, they didn't provide all of the information that was requested. And so that was my perception of why there were multiple people doing the evaluation. I happened to be one of them. And that was why I scored them, that they didn't provide the necessary information. They provide very limited information.
And this is, just as a note, you know, an RFP, not an ITN. So, you know, the clarification piece and shortlisting and all of that wasn't a part of what this solicitation included. You know, we do allow for clarifications if there's minimum qualifications that we can't, you know, get references to answer. We can go back and ask them for another reference to clarify, et cetera, because we don't believe, and legal also supports, that it doesn't create an unfair advantage because it's past work that has been done. So that's, you know, you get, there's a balance of what you can request clarifications on and what you can't, but the ITN does open us up to more of that, ability to go and shortlist and clarify things. So, it is a benefit, but when we bid this out, we weren't doing anything too different, and so we chose to go the RFP route, but it is something we could consider going forward. Any other questions or comments? All right, I'll ask for a motion to approve award number 8.
Harvey, so moved.
Joe Orfano, second.
Thank you. We'll roll call through the committee to approve award number 8, starting with Haivu.
Approved.
Joe Orfano.
Approved.
Laura Dutton.
Approved.
Ricky Erickson.
Approved.
And Stephen Datz.
Approved.
Thank you. We have approved and reviewed all of the award items 1 through 8. So the entire agenda has been approved for May 6, 2021. I will ask if there's any other business to come before the awards committee. All right, seeing none, we're adjourned. I hope everybody has a great rest of your Thursday and a safe weekend.
Thanks, Jenny.
You're welcome.